have a bunch of genealogy books that I've had on GoodNotes forever because I started with the PDFs and putting them in GoodNotes, which is an app on my iPad, and then that's where I've been working on things. But I've been slowly not switching over to Canva, but realizing that Canva can do things that the iPad can't, or that the PDF pages can't. And I've made little like highlights books here and there, but I have a couple of books that I just haven't moved over. I'm gonna show you how I'm sort of starting new books on Canva using the base book template, and how I'm going to use the books that I've already created in GoodNotes to just send things over really easily, and how I'm getting that started. Because I know a lot of you are where I am, where you've got these books, or maybe you've just got work somewhere that you've already done, like some other program, and you like the idea of making a book on Canva or moving things into Canva, but it's so overwhelming to think about taking all of your work and moving it. So let me show you what that's going to look like. Okay, so I've opened up Canva and I'm going to make a new family tree book, or set of family tree books for the Queen family. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over here to projects, and then see this plus sign? I'm going to create a folder just for this family tree. So new folder, and I'm going to call it Queen Family Tree Books, and continue. It's going to create just an empty folder. And now I'm ready to open up the base book templates and create the base of these Queen Family Tree books. Just go back to the home screen for Canva. So to do that, I'm going to use the links that you get if you use either the complete collection, or if you're using the Tree Builder Toolkit. Both of those have the links for the base books. You just open that up. They should already be open. Oh, nope. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go to books. Let's see. The base books were actually, here they are, base book templates. So I've got a male first base book or a female first base book. I want to do the same thing that I did in GoodNotes as far as like male first or female first. If you're not familiar with that, that just means when you're looking at the index, does it go fathers and then mothers, or does it go mothers and then fathers? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check on GoodNotes to see what the book was and make sure that I'm picking the right one. These are all the genealogies that I've got right now on GoodNotes. I'm going to open this one for Queen, and I'm going to check the index to see if it's male first or female first. And I can tell that this book is female first because I've got like the two parents of number 13. I've got grandmother and then grandfather. So that means that I'm going to want to do this female first base book template so that the indexes match the new index with this old index that I've already written out. There are options for the base book template. You can see I can do a full book, which is the root person through the fourth great grandparents. The biggest problem with this is that it's a big book, which can be a lot to save or share or print or even just to read. So I actually prefer to break it up into these different generations. These are going to be books of different length, but I feel like root person, parents, grandparents, those more recent generations, you also tend to have more that you want to share on them. So even though there's not that many people in this first book, the book still ends up being fairly thick most of the time. And then as you get going, like maternal fourth great grandparents, depending on how much you know about your family lines, you could have a ton of those or not that many, but this just gives you more flexibility. So I don't want to open up this full book. I want to open up these ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on book part 1. It's going to ask me if I want to open it. Yes, I do. Now yours is going to look a little different. You won't have the option to edit template because it's not your template. You're just going to have view. So I'm going to pick view. And it's going to say, you want to open it in editor? Yes. And what it's done is it's made a copy of this first book. Now, the name of this is Copy of Female First Pre-Numbered Base Book, blah, blah, blah. I am going to change that so that I know that this is the Queen Family book. So I'm going to erase all of this and put Queen Family. But then I'm also going to add a number after book. I didn't write out book one, book two, book three in the titles because I didn't think that people were necessarily going to want those. I do want them for my own records. So I want this to be named Queen Family Book One. That way it's going to be easier for me to find which book I'm working on at any given time. Okay, so I've done that. Now by opening it in my Canva account and renaming it, I already, now it just exists in my Canva account. I can close this, and if I go back to this home and I refresh, you're going to um, see Queen Family Book One exists now, right? This 25-page file is ready. I'm not going to mess with it yet, though. I'm going to go back and I'm going to actually open up all of these books because I want books 1 through 5 for this family. So let me just open the rest of them the same way I just did. Okay, so I've opened those books and I'm going to be able to see them, see how you've got Queen Family Book 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select them. And it says 5 selected, and then see this little folder? That's how I can move them. And it's going to ask me where I want to move them. And I want to move them into that family, the Queen Family Tree Books folder that we created. So now they are in that folder. If I go to my projects, I can see the Queen Family Tree Books. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to star them. When I star that, it adds to this little short menu of things that I use all the time. And now I can easily access the Queen Family Tree books. So that was just showing you how I am getting the base book started in my Canva account, right? This is my own copy of these base books. You know, nothing I did affects the template for anybody else. These are just fresh new copies, and these are the copies that I'm going to keep working on. Now, let's open up book one and see what it is that we need to do. I will probably end up switching the cover for the Queen Family books, but this is not something that I ever do in the beginning. Right now, I'm just getting the book set up. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just put the word Queen because it's a good visual reminder just to make sure that I'm working on the right family tree. I'm going to ignore all the rest of this. You know, there's no reason for me to do like the message and the inside cover or anything. We're just getting the book set up. Okay, so we start with an index. Now, I have the index that I filled out. I have the index that I've already filled out in GoodNotes. Let me show you what I mean. So this is the Queen Family book. This is the index, and you can see I filled it in by hand over the years, adding people. I've got their names and then their birth years. If you don't know how to use the index, everything relates back to person number 1, who's a root person. I'm blocking that person because they're still living. But you've got that person's mother and father, and then you've got the maternal grandmother of the root person, and then there's a little hint underneath that says that the maternal grandmother is the parent of number 2, number 2 being the mother. Anyways, I have taken the time to fill in all of the people that I know on this family tree. Now, there's not a super easy way for me to just grab this and copy it over into Canva. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the time to go ahead and type it out. I'm just going to skip the root person for now, just because I don't want to share living information. But the easiest way to add names into the index is I found to just like copy this name box, and then I'm going to hit paste and see it made another one. And I'm going to move that down to where the name for mother goes. And you can see it'll help you with these little guidelines. And I'm just going to fill in this information by hand, checking it right now and then to make sure that my index numbers match. And then I'm going to copy that last one I did, and so on. Okay, that's the whole index filled out, minus the root person, which I didn't put in because they are still living. Now, here's the thing. I just filled out the index for book one, but all of these family tree books actually have the index, the same index repeated, so that you can reference it no matter which book you've got. So what I need to do is I actually need to open up all of these different books. So book two, when I click on them, they're just going to open up in new tabs. Book three, book four, book five. And I see if I open up book two, then you can see I need to change the cover. And then again, we've got this blank index. What I'm not going to do is sit here and type into all of these different indexes. I'm actually going to do a copy paste. Let me just change the cover real quick. And this front page. Okay. Now this index page and the one that I just filled out, it's the same. See how they're the same orientation and everything? What I need to do is I need to take everything that I added and copy it to this page. Now, I can't just grab everything. I mean, if I totally just wiped out this page, I could grab everything and copy and paste. I'm not going to do that. Although that sounds like actually, now that I'm thinking about it, that doesn't like a faster way to do this, but I don't want you to run the risk of deleting something that you didn't mean to delete. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the text that I added, and using the Shift key on my keyboard, I'm going to select all of this different text that I've typed in. Okay, so that's all the text that I added for page one. I'm going to hit Command C on my Mac keyboard to copy. On a PC, it would probably be something different. I'm going to come to book two, and I'm just going to click somewhere down here to sort of select the page, and I'm going to hit paste. I'm not going to hover over where I want the text to go. I'm just going to hit paste. And it's going to automatically paste all of that into the same spot that it was on this page. Canva does that. When you copy and paste, it'll just put things on the page the same way it was on a different page in a different book, or on a different page in a different part of the document. So that's really handy. I'm going to do that for book two. I'll just change that later. Come down here to book three and book four, and then book five. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to do that with all of the names that I added to the index, copying and pasting for all of the different index pages in all of the books. And I'm going to make sure that I click away. See how these are all highlighted? I'm going to click down here so that these stop being selected before I copy and paste. Okay, so that's how I was able to copy the index over into all these books. I'm going to go ahead and leave these books open for now to show you something else that I do when I'm getting these books set up as I start to add people. Now, if you don't have the index already filled out because you've done this book before in a different format, you're going to be filling in the index by going back through your research, through, trees that you've built on Ancestry or that you've helped with on Family Search or something like that, figuring out who, like which relationship. Again, following the index, you're going to be figuring out, okay, so if this person is the mother of this person, then they're number two, and then that person's parents, you go down here, okay, so this is the parent number two, and this is the parent of number two. And then like for this number four person, who's their parents? We'll look down here. Oh, this is the parent number four, and this is the parent number four. That's how you're filling in the index. But again, if you've already done it before, there's no reason to like go back through your research, just copy it over. All right, so that's setting up the index. What I want to show you quickly is actually setting up something else for these pages as I'm adding information. So I've got this ancestor divider, and then I go right into the root person, and then they have a family tree page. And then after that, I have the mother and the direct line. So this is index number two, the mother. This is the blank page. They have this page, and then the page, get this out of the way. The page that sort of faces that is this direct line page where it shows how they're related to the root person. If I come out like this, you can see that that's, there's no way to like zoom in. So this is, the book's going to be bound right here, and this will be on one side and this will be on the other. So I need to fill in information about this mother. Well, I have this person, I've already made them an ancestor page in the old book on GoodNotes. So I can reference that, but let me show you an even easier trick. This is index number 2 in this book. The relationship to the root person is the mother. I have 2 photos of this person and then basic information. Now I'm going to copy it over by hand. I'm going to copy this typed information. I'm going to go ahead and copy it over by hand. But the photos, this is actually kind of an easy trick, and this is something that's kind of specific to Apple users. I am going to, figure out how to liberate my pencil. Just tap on this photo to select it. Oh my gosh, hi, tap. And then I'm gonna hit edit, tap on it again, and see it says share. It's gonna give me these different options. I am going to hit copy. And now I'm just gonna go over to my computer and I'm going to use the control click and see it paste as an option. When I hit paste, it's gonna paste from my iPad. Isn't that clever? And it actually, I can open these up. It's uploading this photo into my Canva library. And then it's just kind of on top of everything, but I can move this around and it's going to jump right into that little circle photo, and I can double click on it and change the photo so that it fits in the circle better. And there we've moved it from this page to that page because the Apple devices talk to each other. I can do that with this photo as well. I just click on it, I hit share, and then I hit copy. And then over here, I hit control and click, and then I can, or I guess I could just hit control V and do paste. It's hard because I'm only using one hand. And it's gonna paste that photo in as well, and then I just move it to the frame that I want, and now we've got the photos that have jumped from this page over here. Now let me just fill in this information. I'm just gonna type in this information, copying what I had there to what I have here really quick. Not gonna do children right now because some of them are living. So that was just me filling in this page. That's all done. Now over here, I am going to change some of the information. Again, I'm not going to do the root person, this person, because they're still living. But see how there's this circle field and then it says name and index number 2. So index number 2 is this person we just did. So her name is Georgia May Morehart. And I'm going to change the name field to say Georgia May Morehart. I could have it be in all caps, but I don't think that that's necessary. And then I want to put her picture right here. Now I can just drag a picture over like that and it's going to automatically fill in. Or if I need to, I might have to like go and crop a good square size photo, upload it, and then drag it over. That one works just fine. The thing is, this direct line page, it's for every ancestor except for the root person has one. And so Georgia May Morehart, because she's just index number 2 and she's pretty close to our root person, she's going to be on a lot of the pages. What I want to do is I want to go through and drag her photo over right now. I am not necessarily, so this goes from index number 3 to number 1 because this is the father. But then if I go down to maternal grandmother, you're going to see index number 2 is right here. I am not going to necessarily change her name because it's not hard to reference the index number and figure out which number is which name, but it is a pain to go back through all of my Canva uploads and figure out which person is which name, like which photo is which name. So as long as I'm working on index number 2, I'm going to drag her photo onto every circle that says index number 2. That's going to be true even for the ancestor pages where I don't have the ancestor named. I still know that in this case, even though we don't know who the ancestor is of the page I might be working on, I know what index number 2 looks like. So everywhere that says index number 2, I'm going to drag her photo in. And again, if I was just working on this book, I would have already done this with the root person, and the root person would be on every single one of the photos. Or every single one of the direct line pages. I'm just not doing that because a living person, and I'm not going to work on that right now while I'm recording. So I need to look for everything that says index number 2. And after a while, you do start to see the patterns. Like I know anything that's paternal isn't going to have her picture on it because she's the mother. So we can skip those ones, and then that's the end of this book. Okay, if I go over to Queen Family book number 2, um, and I go to my uploads, you actually weirdly see the photo. Normally you don't. Normally I have to hit refresh. I was just going to show you that I had to hit refresh, but it's right there. That does not always happen. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit. Index number 2 is in the line right here because these are maternal grandparents. Again, for root person, the parents, like the closer or the higher up their index number is, I'm sorry, the closer their index number is to number 1, the more pages are going to be on. So for the root person and the parents, you really are dragging them into a lot of photo frames. Okay. I don't need to put her photo into anything in book 5 because that's the paternal side. So now her photo is everywhere that I needed it to go. So if you're looking at her pages, now there's like this note section. I didn't put the children in again because they're living, but and then let's use this space to write a summary of your ancestor's life. I am not going to worry about any of that right now. Since I'm just working on getting this book started so that it's ready for me to work on it, I am not making decisions about what other pages I'm putting in. I'm sure I have other pages now that I'm going to want to follow these 2 pages with because this is just the beginning of her chapter for index number 2 before we move over into the father, who is index number 3. But right now, for everybody that I've gotten this index, I just want to set their pages up, copying in the information that I have and the photos that I have, and then putting their photos and their names on these direct line pages, because that's going to position me to do the work that I want to start doing. We're just setting up these base books. Let me actually just go offline and work on this, and then I'm going to come back and show you the progress I've made and where I am. Okay, let me show you where I ended up. So yesterday I started working on moving all of my information, basically transcribing it off of my iPad where I was using PDFs and GoodNotes and into Canva because I want to make some books. And I was just moving photos over and moving names over. Well, I got that done. So I'm in Queen Family Book 1, and I got the index filled in. I did end up adding in a photo of the root person. I'm not filling in any of her information yet because I wanted to show this to you and she's still living. But I did do her family tree page. So when you use the base book, the root person has this basic family tree instead of the other pages all have these direct lines showing their connection to the root person. Obviously, the root person wouldn't need that because they are the root person. So I do a family tree. So I added in this family tree photo. You see, look, I'm right there. Um, and I will be adding more pages to her chapter and to all of the chapters. But again, I was just setting up the base book. So she's ready to go. Moving on to index number 2. This is where you saw me bring in these photos. And then I added that photo to this direct line and I put her name there. I actually didn't fill in the names on the direct line for most of the pages because there was no reason to slow me down. But I did manage to get these photos. And no, not everybody has a photo or has 2 photos. Not everybody even has 1 photo. But for the people that I did, I put their photo in and then I added their photo in the direct line where it fit. So this first book is just the parents, the root person parents and grandparents. But if we go to book 2, we can start to see we have this index repeated again. I showed you guys how to do that yesterday. And we start to see how these photos are showing up on other direct lines. Again, I didn't bother to change the names. I'm just adding in, if index number 4 is in the direct line, I'm adding her photo in because this saves me from having to go back and find them all. And this really is a very nice tool, being able to visually see everybody. It's just when you get into the weeds, it can get confusing to remember who's who. So let me just jump forward to book 4. You can see the direct line really goes on for a while. This is the 4th great grandparents, and this is how long the direct line looks. Now, I don't have a photo most likely of this person, but I had photos of the rest. Now, what am I going to do about these pages where I don't have photos of these people? Well, there's a couple different things I can do. I can add photos of their headstones and use things like that in the direct line page, or I can just upload a silhouette. Sometimes I do traditional gender colors. I do a blue silhouette for a man that I don't have a photo of, a pink silhouette for a woman I don't have a photo of, and then I'll do a gray sort of non-gendered silhouette for somebody I don't, if I haven't found them. Because I mean, you can, if it says, grandfather, I can guess to the gender, but if I haven't found them, I'll make them gray because it's just sort of a visual signal that I'm still looking for that person. I could also just leave these empty images. It does look a little bit unfinished, but I'm not worrying about that yet. I was just moving the information that I had from the book into this book. The funny thing is, I had no idea how little information I had in that book. When I really got going, like this person, all I had was her name, a year for the date of birth, and the date of her death, and that was it. I didn't have her children listed out. I didn't have her marriage date. It turns out that in this family particularly, I have been doing like spot research where I've been doing these family groups where I really research two people and their children and then all the siblings. Or this person had something significant happen. So I researched that family and like a lot about the event. But I hadn't touched the entire family tree book since 2022, and I hadn't done that much work on it, which just goes to show like I do my family history all the time. I thought that I had a lot of research, and then I went to be moving stuff over, and I'm like, there's nothing to move. And I don't have this research organized well on my computer. So I'm going to be going and I'm going to be actually making myself archives. Um, Making folders for each ancestor. And I'm going to be doing, for the first time, I'm going to be linking each of these ancestor profiles to those archives. So that's going to be the next video. But I just wanted to show you how this ended up with the base book set up. I am now ready to go in and start. I need to add a lot more information to a lot of these. But at least this gives me um, a head start, and it makes me feel like I didn't leave a lot of my work in this other book and now I'm starting over. Uh, it just also kind of revealed that I actually hadn't done that much work. And so I need to focus. I need to get myself together. But I hope that that helped so that when you're ready to jump into using Canva, especially if you've been using a different program, that you can use the base book, give yourself a head start, and that it doesn't have to be this giant, horrible chore. And in fact, just the act of moving can be a really nice refresher about where you are with that family tree, what you still need to work on, and what you want to do next.